You ever see someone so obsessed with power, they actually end up destroying themselves? That's pretty much what happened when my family moved into Oak Ridge Estates, and let me tell you, it's a story I never expected to live, let alone share, but here we are. You want to hear how a neighborhood queen got dethroned? Buckle up, because this one's got everything drama, a twist you won't see coming, and a real dose of poetic justice. We'd picked Oak Ridge for all the obvious reasons, safe streets, neighbors who wave lawns so perfect. You wonder if the grass is synthetic, and a community pool just down the block. For us, that pool was a lifeline. My son Max has cystic fibrosis, and swimming isn't just fun for him, it's how he keeps his lungs strong, how he actually breathes easier. So yeah, I thought we'd finally made it. Finally found that American dream neighborhood people talk about. Funny, right? And then there was Karen Willoughby. If you're picturing the classic HOA president type, just crank it up a few notches. Mid-50s blonde hair that never moved even in a hurricane designer sunglasses, like a permanent crown and a clipboard. Oh, that clipboard, like she was auditioning for the role of suburban dictator. Her voice, like someone shredding aluminum foil, especially if she caught you breaking one of her precious rules. I swear Karen worshipped the HOA bylaws more than most people pray on Sunday. She'd stand up at every monthly meeting quoting regulations like she was reciting the Constitution. Preserving our property values is a sacred duty. She'd drag out every word as if explaining to a classroom full of kindergartners. And if anyone dared to question her, oh buddy, they were in for it. My first run-in with her wasn't even that dramatic. Max needed a ramp to get into the house on bad days, so I hired a contractor, all up to code mind you, and had it installed. Early Saturday morning, there she was marching up the driveway, her clipboard like a sword. Excuse me, she said, that fake sweet voice. Only people who've never had to be nice use. I don't recall the architectural committee approving this. Flicked her wrist at the ramp like it was a heap of junk in the middle of her personal Versailles. So I explained, real calm, showed her the paperwork, even quoted the Americans with Disabilities Act. Yeah, I had the receipts. She flashed me the smile that could frost a windshield and just walked off. But you know that feeling when someone's not letting go? That was Karen. And, oh, she was just getting started. Over the next few months, we started getting these violation notices for, I kid you not, the dumbest things you've ever heard. Trash cans out 30 minutes past the window. The white paint on our fence was eggshell instead of the approved pearl. You try telling the difference. And the best one, she actually cited us because Max's medical nebulizer was visible through the living room window. Excessive medical equipment. Yeah, that happened. Lucky for me, I'm an engineer. I don't like to lose, especially not to a wannabe Napoleon in yoga pants. So every notice I responded in writing, citing statutes, codes, you name it. Karen hated being challenged, especially by someone who could probably quote the HOA manual backwards by now. But the real showdown started when we got a backup generator for Max. Out here, the power cuts out enough that we just couldn't risk it. His treatments have to be on time. We followed every city rule, screened the unit, made sure it was quieter than most lawnmowers. Less than a day after the install, guess who shows up? Karen, arms folded, eyes blazing like she could vaporize the thing just by looking at it. Generators are expressly prohibited under Section 7.3, she snapped. They're an eyesore and the noise is unacceptable. So I asked her to actually listen to it. She stood there pouting, probably thinking about all the times her husband revved up his old Mustang every Sunday louder than any generator. I told her, this is quieter than that car and it's a medical accommodation protected by law. Her jaw just about locked up. We'll see about that. The board meets next week, she spat and stormed off. The HOA board, let's be real, it was just Karen and her flock of yes-men people so afraid of her they'd agree the sky was green if she said so. But I came ready. I brought every law, every medical note, and even had Max's doctor call in on video to explain why uninterrupted power was literally life-saving. In the end, faced with the threat of an actual lawsuit, the board voted to grant us the exception. Karen sat there silent, gripping her little gavel so hard I thought it might snap. On her way out, she brushed past me and hissed, "This isn't over." I'll admit I just laughed it off, thought she was all bark, no bite. Big mistake. A month later, we went out of town to see Max's grandparents. Left Friday, got back Sunday night. The minute we pulled into the driveway, something felt off. The generator was gone. At first I figured some random thief had struck, but then I checked our cameras. And there it was. 7:15 Saturday morning. Karen herself on the footage directing two guys in unmarked coveralls as they unhooked the generator, loaded it onto a truck, and drove off. She's standing there, arms crossed, looking like she just won a gold medal in the Petty Olympics. I was so mad I couldn't even see straight. This wasn't about rules anymore. This was grand theft, and it was personal. So I called the police. 2 officers came right out, and when I showed them the video, one just sighed. Mrs. Willoughby, HOA president. Turns out she'd made herself famous with them too, and since the generator was worth over $2,000, we were talking felony grand larceny. Within an hour, a patrol car rolled up to Karen's house, picture perfect, 3 doors down. I watched from my window as she tried to explain, arms waving, face turning from smug to something a lot closer to panic. Next morning, I'm working from home when I hear a commotion. I look outside and there she is. Karen handcuffed, being walked to a police car, neighbors gaping. She kept her head up, but you could see the crack in her armor. My phone just blew up. Did you see this? Is she really getting arrested? Turns out when the police pressed her, she refused to say where the generator was kept, insisting she had full authority as HOA president. That just made things worse. Now they had her for obstruction, too. Later that day, Detective Rivera called me. "We've recovered your property," he said with just a hint of satisfaction. Karen had hired a landscaping crew to haul the generator to her brother-in-law's warehouse in the next county. It was fine, but she was in deep trouble. Grand larceny, false report, obstruction, and since it was medical equipment for a child, the DA was not playing around. Karen got bailed out by her husband, and if you'd seen the look on his face, you'd think he'd just watched his whole life crumble in front of him. She kept shooting daggers at our window, but for once I didn't care. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. The next week, the HOA called an emergency meeting. Karen's right-hand man, Doug, who always looked like he was about to faint, stood up there instead. Karen's been removed from her duties pending the legal process. And then for the first time, people started speaking up. All the folks who'd been quiet for years, one by one, they told stories of fines, threats, sneaky little power plays. It was like therapy. A collective sigh of relief, honestly. Someone called for a vote to remove Karen for good. It wasn't even close, almost unanimous. As Doug read the result, Karen stood up from the back row, face red, eyes wild, and just started screaming. "You can't do this! I built this community. I protected your property values. This is all your fault!" she yelled at me, finger jabbing the air. "You and your special needs and special exceptions." Her husband tried to get her out of there, but she tore away mascara, running voice cracking. "Who's going to hire a realtor with felony charges? Do you realize what you've done to me?" That's when it hit me for the first time. She wasn't afraid of losing power. She was actually scared of the consequences, real adult consequences. Not just a slap on the wrist, but her entire reputation, her career, everything gone in a single afternoon. She stormed out the door, slamming like the final note in a bad opera. Doug tried to keep reading the agenda, but nobody was listening. I just sat there, finally letting it sink in. After all those months, justice had shown up on our little street. And you know what? It wasn't lawyers or shouting or even rules that took Karen down. It was her own arrogance, plain and simple. So here's my question to you. Is it really worth clinging to power so tightly that you lose your humanity along the way? Or should we start standing up sooner, calling out bullies and protecting the folks who need it most? Tell me what you think. Drop a comment about what you'd have done, or if you got your own story, lay it on me. Let's talk about what justice really looks like, because sometimes karma needs a little help from the neighbors.